What if I told you that 5 of the most popular fruits in your kitchen could be silently increasing your stroke risk, sometimes overnight? For decades, we've been told all fruits are healthy, but a leading brain doctor with over 20 years of clinical experience has revealed a disturbing truth that could change everything you thought you knew about nutrition. In this video, you'll discover the 5 fruits that could be ticking time bombs for your brain health. You'll learn the science behind why these so-called superfoods are dangerous, especially if you're over 50 or taking common medications. And I'll reveal the 3 fruits you should eat instead to actually protect your brain and reduce stroke risk by up to 45%. Welcome to this channel, where we uncover health truths that could save your life. If you want to make informed decisions about your health, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss critical information like this. Now, let's dive into the 5 fruits you need to avoid. Let's start with bananas. They're often called the perfect health food, packed with potassium that's great for your heart. A medium banana has about 422 milligrams of potassium, which helps with nerve and muscle function. Athletes love them, doctors recommend them, and millions of people eat them daily. But here's the catch. Too much potassium can actually be dangerous, especially for older adults and people taking blood pressure medication. When you eat a lot of potassium quickly, your brain's blood vessels can suddenly tighten up. This is called vasospasm, and it reduces blood flow to your brain, which can trigger a stroke. And if you're on medications like beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, or certain diuretics, your body already holds on to more potassium than usual. Add bananas on top of that, and you're asking for trouble. There's a real case that shows just how serious this can be. Margaret was a 67-year-old retired teacher who ate 2 bananas every morning, thinking she was being healthy. Over time, her potassium levels got dangerously high. She started having irregular heartbeats, and small blood clots formed that traveled to her brain. Once her doctor figured out it was the bananas combined with her medication causing the problem, they had her stop eating them. Her symptoms went away completely. Does this mean you can never have a banana? Not necessarily. Just keep it to 1 small banana every other day and eat it with some protein to slow down how fast your body absorbs the potassium. Or switch to lower potassium fruits like apples, which only have about 195 milligrams of potassium, or berries. The key is not to load up on too much potassium all at once. Now let's talk about grapes. They seem harmless enough, right? Sweet, easy to snack on, and portable. But grapes are loaded with natural sugars that spike your blood sugar faster than you think. Just 1 cup has 23 grams of sugar, which is about 6 teaspoons worth, and it hits your bloodstream really fast. Here's what happens. Your blood sugar shoots up, your body releases a flood of insulin, and this causes inflammation in your blood vessels. That inflammation makes blood clots more likely to form. A major Harvard study found that eating grapes daily increased the risk of ischemic stroke by 31%. That's almost a third higher risk. Take Robert, for example. He was a 58-year-old accountant who kept grapes at his desk and snacked on them every afternoon. He thought he was making a healthy choice, but his blood sugar was going up and down like a roller coaster all day. Eventually, he started having brief moments where he'd get confused, or his vision would change for a few seconds. An MRI showed he'd been having silent strokes, small areas of brain damage that were adding up over time. The grapes were the problem. There's more to worry about too. Red grapes have a compound called tyramine that can cause dangerous blood pressure spikes if you're taking certain antidepressants called MAO inhibitors. Plus, grapes are one of the most heavily sprayed fruits when it comes to pesticides, and those chemicals have been linked to stroke risk as well. If you really love grapes, treat them like candy, not a healthy snack. Limit yourself to maybe 5 or 6 grapes and eat them with some protein and fat to slow down the sugar hit. Better yet, try cucumber slices or cherry tomatoes instead. You'll get that fresh, crunchy satisfaction without the sugar spike. Moving on to oranges. We all think of orange juice as a healthy breakfast staple, right? Loaded with vitamin C, good for your immune system. But for people on medications, oranges can be a real problem. The issue is a compound called furanocoumarin that messes with how your body breaks down drugs. Your liver has an enzyme called CYP3A4 that's responsible for processing many medications. Oranges block this enzyme, so your medications stick around in your bloodstream much longer than they should. They build up to levels that can be toxic. This is especially dangerous if you're on blood pressure medication, where having too much drug in your system can cause your blood pressure to drop suddenly or spike unpredictably, both of which dramatically increase stroke risk. A study from 2020 found something alarming. People taking blood pressure medication who regularly ate oranges had a 44% higher risk of hemorrhagic stroke. That's a stroke caused by bleeding in the brain. Let me tell you about Susan. She was a 71-year-old retired nurse who drank orange juice every morning and took amlodipine for her blood pressure. Because of the oranges, her medication levels tripled in her blood. One morning, she collapsed from a brain bleed. She survived, but recovery was long and difficult. Oranges also have other issues. They're very acidic, which wears down tooth enamel and causes inflammation in your mouth. That might not sound related to stroke, but mouth inflammation can actually spread to your blood vessels and increase stroke risk. Oranges also have a lot of fructose, which your liver turns into uric acid, another known stroke trigger. So what should you do? If you're on statins, blood thinners, or blood pressure medication, skip oranges entirely. It's just not worth the risk. If you want vitamin C, eat yellow bell peppers instead. They actually have more vitamin C than oranges, 340 milligrams, without any of the drug interaction problems. But if oranges are dangerous, grapefruit is in a whole different category. Grapefruit has the highest amount of those furanocoumarin compounds of any citrus fruit, up to 10 times more than oranges. This makes it incredibly dangerous for anyone on medication. Here's the scary part. One glass of grapefruit juice can mess with your drug levels for up to 72 hours. That's 3 full days where your medications aren't working right. If you're taking statins for cholesterol, grapefruit can increase the drug levels in your blood by 1,500%. Yes, you read that right, 1,500%. This causes severe muscle breakdown, and when muscle tissue breaks down, it releases stuff into your blood that can form clots. Those clots travel to your brain and cause strokes. A study in Japan found that people who drank grapefruit juice daily had a 59% higher stroke risk, and this was true even for people who weren't taking any medications. The fruit itself was causing problems. James was a 64-year-old construction foreman who loved grapefruit juice. He drank it every morning while taking his statin medication. He started getting really bad muscle pain and noticed his urine was dark, almost brown. These are signs that his muscles were literally breaking down. The protein from his destroyed muscles was forming clots in his blood, and he ended up having several small strokes before doctors connected it to the grapefruit. Grapefruit also causes other problems beyond drug interactions. It interferes with calcium channels in your blood vessels, which can cause sudden spasms in brain vessels. It affects how your blood clots in unpredictable ways, first making it harder to clot, then causing a rebound where your blood clots too easily. And it's high in potassium, adding another risk factor. The bottom line with grapefruit, if you're on any medication at all, don't eat it or drink grapefruit juice. Zero. None. Even if you think your medication doesn't interact with grapefruit, new interactions are being discovered all the time. If you want that tart flavor, try lemon water instead. Now we get to what might be the most surprising fruit on this list, pomegranate. You've probably seen it marketed as a superfood, especially for heart health. It's in expensive juices, supplements are made from it, and health food stores push it hard. But the research tells a very different story. Pomegranates have several things going on that increase stroke risk. They contain compounds called punicengens that interfere with vitamin K metabolism. Vitamin K is essential for your blood to clot properly. Mess with that system and you increase your risk of bleeding, including brain hemorrhages. A big review of multiple studies from 2021 found that regular pomegranate consumption increased hemorrhagic stroke risk by 67% in people over 55. Let me tell you about David, and this story is really sad. He was a 69-year-old college professor who read all the marketing about pomegranates being great for your heart. So he started drinking pomegranate juice every day. He was also taking fish oil, turmeric, and ginkgo biloba supplements, which all thin your blood. Nobody warned him these would interact. One evening, he collapsed at home with a massive brain bleed. His blood was so thin that once a small blood vessel ruptured, the bleeding wouldn't stop. He survived, but he lost much of his mental function and needed full-time care for the rest of his life.
Here's what makes pomegranate juice especially risky. 1 cup of juice has the concentrated compounds from 3 whole pomegranates. That's enough to affect your blood's ability to clot for up to 4 days. If you're taking fish oil, turmeric, ginkgo, or prescription blood thinners, the effects multiply. Pomegranates also have the highest oxalate content of any fruit. Oxalates cause inflammation in blood vessel walls, making them weaker and more likely to rupture. If you've been drinking pomegranate juice regularly, especially if you're taking any blood thinning supplements or medications, you need to talk to your doctor about checking your blood's clotting ability. And honestly, you should probably stop consuming pomegranates altogether. If you want antioxidants, get them from vegetables like broccoli and spinach instead. Okay, so after hearing about all these dangers, you're probably wondering if any fruits are actually safe and good for you. The answer is yes, absolutely. In fact, there are 3 fruits that not only avoid these risks, but actually help protect your brain and reduce stroke risk. These aren't just safe, they're backed by solid scientific research. First up, blueberries. These little berries are incredibly good for your brain. They're packed with compounds called anthocyanins that repair damage to your blood vessels and protect your brain cells from oxidative stress. Unlike grapes, blueberries have a low glycemic index of 53, which means they release sugar slowly and steadily. No spikes, no inflammation, just steady energy and protection. The research on blueberries is impressive. Harvard followed 93,000 women for 18 years and found that women who ate blueberries just 3 times a week had a 32% lower stroke risk compared to women who rarely ate them. That's 1/3 less risk from such a simple change. What makes blueberries so protective? It's those anthocyanins. 1 cup of blueberries has 84 milligrams of these compounds, and they can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. That means they get right into your brain tissue where they protect your neurons and keep your blood vessels healthy and flexible. How should you eat them? Aim for 1 cup of fresh or frozen blueberries every day. Frozen is just as good as fresh, sometimes better, because they're frozen at peak ripeness. Try to buy organic when you can to avoid pesticides. A great way to eat them is mixed into plain Greek yogurt. The protein from the yogurt works well with the berries, and you get brain protection plus lasting energy. Next, let's talk about avocados. Yes, avocado is technically a fruit, and it's one of the best things you can eat for stroke prevention. Avocados are full of monounsaturated fats, the same healthy fats in olive oil that reduce inflammation and improve blood flow to your brain. Remember how we talked about potassium spikes from bananas being dangerous? Avocados actually have more potassium than bananas. But here's the key difference. Because of their high fiber and fat content, avocados release potassium slowly. You get all the benefits without the dangerous spikes. A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people over 50 who ate 1 avocado a day cut their stroke risk by 45%. That's nearly half the risk gone just from adding 1 food. Avocados also contain lutein, a compound that builds up in your brain tissue and acts like a protective shield against stroke damage. The healthy fats help your body absorb vitamins from other foods too, making your whole diet more protective. How much should you eat? Half an avocado a day is perfect. That gives you 10 grams of fiber, healthy fats, and all that protective lutein. Spread it on whole grain toast, add it to salads, or just eat it with a little salt and pepper. Finally, strawberries. These are the surprise champion for brain protection. Strawberries have folate, vitamin C, and a compound called ellagic acid that work together to protect against stroke. But here's what makes strawberries really special. They contain natural salicylates, which are like aspirin. They prevent blood clots without increasing bleeding risk the way pomegranates do. A huge European study followed 450,000 people and found that those who ate strawberries just twice a week had a 30% lower stroke risk compared to people who rarely ate them. Twice a week, and your risk drops by almost 1/3. 1 cup of strawberries gives you 85 milligrams of vitamin C, more than an orange, but without those dangerous compounds that mess with your medications. You get all the immune support and antioxidants without any risk. How should you eat strawberries? First, buy organic when possible. Conventional strawberries are heavily sprayed with pesticides. Second, eat them whole, not juiced. The fiber is part of what makes them protective. Aim for 8 medium strawberries a day. You can eat them plain, add them to smoothies, or slice them over your oatmeal.
Here's the really cool part. When you eat all 3 of these fruits together, they work even better. The protection you get from combining them is greater than eating them separately. Let me give you a simple recipe. Take 1 cup of blueberries, 8 sliced strawberries, and half an avocado. Mix them together and sprinkle a tablespoon of ground flaxseed on top for omega-3s. This simple bowl could reduce your stroke risk by 30 to 45% based on all the research we've talked about. It takes just a few minutes to make and tastes great. Now let's talk about why some fruits cause problems while others help, because understanding this helps you make better choices. With potassium, it's not that the mineral itself is bad, it's how quickly it hits your system. Bananas and grapefruit dump potassium into your blood fast, causing spikes that constrict blood vessels. Avocados release it slowly because of their fiber and fat, so your body handles it better. With sugar, fruits like grapes and orange juice cause rapid spikes in blood sugar. Your body responds with inflammation and makes your blood more likely to clot. Low glycemic fruits like blueberries and strawberries release sugar gradually, keeping everything stable. Medication interactions are huge and often overlooked. Those compounds in oranges and grapefruit block the liver enzymes that break down drugs. Medications build up to dangerous levels and stroke risk goes way up. Always check your medication labels for fruit warnings. Blood thinning compounds sound good in theory, but there's a fine line. Your blood needs to be fluid enough to flow, but still able to clot when necessary. Pomegranate and certain supplements can thin your blood too much, increasing bleeding risk. When you combine multiple blood thinners, you can push past that safe zone. Oxalates damage blood vessel walls over time. High oxalate fruits like pomegranate create chronic inflammation that makes vessels weaker and more likely to rupture. Let me give you some practical tips you can use right away. First, know your medications. If you're on blood pressure meds, statins, or blood thinners, avoid oranges, grapefruit, and pomegranate completely. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about any fruit interactions with your specific medications. Second, be moderate with high-risk fruits. If you're over 60 or have diabetes or pre-diabetes, limit bananas and grapes. When you do eat them, keep portions small and pair them with protein and fat. Never eat them on an empty stomach. Third, make blueberries, avocados, and strawberries your main fruits. Stock these regularly and eat them without worry. They're actively protecting you. Fourth, eat whole fruits, not juice. Juicing concentrates sugars and harmful compounds while removing protective fiber. 1 glass of pomegranate juice has the compounds of 3 whole pomegranates, triple the risk. Always choose whole fruit. Fifth, pair fruit strategically. Never eat high-sugar fruit alone. Add it to yogurt, pair it with nuts, or eat it after a meal with protein and fat. This slows sugar absorption. Sixth, buy organic when possible, especially for berries and strawberries. These are heavily sprayed with pesticides. If organic isn't available, don't skip these protected fruits, just wash them well. The benefits still outweigh the risks. Finally, talk to your doctor. If you have a history of stroke, high blood pressure, or take multiple medications, discuss your fruit choices with your healthcare provider. Bring this information to your appointment and ask specific questions about your medications and fruit interactions. The idea that all fruits are healthy is one of the most dangerous nutrition myths out there. While fruits do offer benefits, vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, they're not all the same. Some can have serious consequences, especially for seniors and people on common medications. By avoiding the 5 high-risk fruits, bananas, grapes, oranges, grapefruit, and pomegranate, you eliminate major stroke risk factors. By eating the 3 protective fruits, blueberries, avocados, and strawberries, you can reduce your stroke risk by 30 to 45% based on solid research. That's a huge difference from simple dietary changes. Remember, nutrition isn't one size fits all. Your age, medications, health history, and individual factors all matter. What's safe for a healthy 30-year-old might be dangerous for a 70-year-old on blood pressure medication. Stay informed, ask questions, and make choices that work for your specific situation. If this video opened your eyes to health information you didn't know, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss important content like this. Share this with anyone over 50 or anyone taking medications. This information could really help them. Thanks for watching and take care of your health.